I'm live. Let me go to my mixer to make sure. Let's check there. Make sure the sound's all there. Bear with me for a sec. Test, test. Yep, I heard my bitch ass in my ear. Close out that window. Alright, so if you're listening audio version, I do, in the video version, I will have ESPN, I guess, screen up in the video version so you can kind of, I guess, track along visually to what I'm using to just base off whatever the fuck I'm talking about. But welcome. This is Kyle High Fight Club number 28. I'm changing the name of my MMA episodes. Instead of being called Kyle High Club MMA number whatever, it's going to be Kyle High Fight Club. For the fight related episodes. As far as the regular episodes, I'll still just be Kyle High Club. Try to get more friends or my brother on, just talk bullshit, get high with. Whereas these fight clubs will be primarily previewing and reviewing the most recent UFC cards. So unless you're under a rock or live on the moon or, I don't know, just watch Netflix or fucking TLC all day, you may have heard that UFC 249 between Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje took place last night. And it was a fucking great night of fights. Might have been the best night of fights. Well, definitely this year. Might be the best card ever in UFC's history. Just from top to bottom, you got I wouldn't say household names, but definitely names that are relevant and recognizable by at least casual fans and obviously the hardcores as well. Uh, I don't always like to consider myself a hardcore fan. I don't like to consider myself a hardcore anything. I'm kind of a laid back, chill guy. I mean, my other half of the podcast is just getting a little smoking weed and getting high and just talking bullshit. Um, But nonetheless, I mean, I knew pretty much every fighter on this card. I believe every fighter. Actually, I don't know them, but I know who they are. I've seen them fight before, maybe besides Charles Rosa. I think I've seen him fight before. I just couldn't really remember his style. Um, let's see. These took place in Jacksonville, Florida, and then they'll have fights again on Wednesday. I believe that's the main event is Glover Teixeira versus Anthony Smith. Anthony Lionheart Smith, and then this coming up, or I guess next Saturday, UFC will have another card, and Walt Harris and Alistair Overeem will be the headliner there. I might talk about the Wednesday card a little bit at the end of this, but it depends on how much I talk, how much I bullshit, and just how long this episode ends up being as I get through the fights from last night. I'm gonna kind of review off the top of my head. I didn't make any notes. I didn't do any round scoring. Last night, kind of just enjoyed the fights, took them as they come. Had a friend over to watch the fights. Even zoomed with some people, with some friends, and watched the fights together. That was actually kind of cool. Once we figured out the sound and all that bullshit, all the technical difficulties. So yeah, it was a fun night. Had a good time. Had a couple Coronas, couple whiskeys in me. All in all, a good night. But let's get into it. I'm gonna start from the bottom up. As the fights took place. So the first fight I'm gonna talk about is Ryan Spann versus Sam Alvey, and then I'll go all the way up through the prelims, the main card from there, ending with obviously Ferguson Gaethje. Um, I know in Z Past I've gone from top bottom, and I did that in the preview. I don't know. Some days you wake up and you feel great, and other days you wake up and you don't want to leave your bed. Um, and some days you feel like talking about the fights from bottom up instead of top down, and that's just one of these days. Um, is what it is, motherfucker. But anyways, so first fight of the night was between, as I said, Ryan Superman Spann and Sam Smiling Alvey. When I initially previewed this fight, I think I said this was the most lopsided fight out there. And I believe that was for the odds makers in Vegas. I believe Spann was a heavy favorite since coming into the UFC. He made his, I guess, first appearance on the Contender Series, got the contract there, and then has been undefeated since. I think 3-0 in the UFC since. Um, Smiling Sam Alvey, although he is a veteran of this game, he's been around a long time. He's took a lot of damage, a lot of punishment. He's very crafty. I thought Superman Spann would be too much for him, but that ended up proving wrong. Spann did end up getting the victory. Let's see, 2 out of 3 judges scored it 29-28, whereas the third had it 28-29 for Sam. Um, this is an interesting fight. The beginning of the first round, it looked like Spann was just trying to go out there, knock his head off, knock him out. That looked like the I guess the game plan, so to say. He just thought he'd be able to get him out there with his athleticism and his overall power. And it looked like he was going to, but Sam Alvey is a fucking tough motherfucker, man. And he does not stop. He loves this shit. That's why he's fucking smiling the whole time when he's fighting. That's why his nickname is Smiling Sam Alvey. Um, but you could start to see towards, like, I'd say halfway through the second round, Spann was definitely showing some fatigue. Alvey was still in there. He throwing these great. I think it was a right hook. Yeah, he was standing southpaws. He was throwing these quick right hooks, kind of like how Gaethje was landing these left hooks all day on Ferguson. The lead hook. Um, Sam kept clipping Spann with those hooks, and he actually had Spann wobbled there. I think towards the end, and almost fucking finished him. It was a very close fight, very exciting fight to watch. Um, I wonder who does these stats, man, because like, I mean, I don't know if these are right or not, but it says Sam Alvey outlanded Spann by over 50 fucking strikes total. But as far as significant strikes, they're about even. Head strikes, body strike, yeah. Spann had a couple takedowns, but he couldn't keep Sam down. Again, just that veteran Quest team ability to just keep going, no matter how hot the kitchen gets. They just keep going. Overall, good fight, and I think I was gonna say both are stock rises, but I don't think so. I think Spann is gonna have to. He's gonna have to reassess himself in the gym and figure out, how to. I don't know, just be better. A lot of people thought he should have had this run away, myself included. Uh, but it is what it is. You fight to live another day. Still got the dub. Still undefeated in the UFC, and look forward to see who he fights next in that crazy 205 division. There are a lot of killers in that division. We'll see where Sam Alvey goes from here after like his 50th fight. This next fight I just absolutely love. Fucking Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell, man, is the real fucking deal. He fought Charles Rosa. He's a fucking black belt in jiu-jitsu. I forget who his coach is. Did they say Ricardo Labora? I can't remember. I wonder if I can Google that real quick. Let's try to Google that. Charles Rosa, BJJ coach. That's probably not gonna like come up right away. Yeah. Yeah, that's something. That's something I might have to search for, but it is what it is. Should just remembered. But anyways, I guess I didn't see this leading up, but supposedly Charles Rosa was talking a lot of shit to Bryce Mitchell, how he's gonna fuck up on the ground, how he's superior in his jiu-jitsu, his wrestling, his grappling all together. Thug Nasty did not fucking like that. He came out there and fucking took it straight to him to the ground, took out Charles Rosa, straight out the gate in rounds 1, 2, and 3, and controlled him for the entire 5 minutes. He was setting up. Fuck, I don't know how many times he set up that twister submission, man. He fucking set up at least at least 5 times. I'd be willing to bet closer to 10 than 5. Um, and at one point, I think it was in the third round, he took him down straight into a twister setup, which is just crazy. Straight into that like truck position setup that's like what it's called or starting to be called, I believe, is that the truck position. I did it like once in jiu-jitsu class. It was like, holy fuck, this is dope. You could attack heel hooks from there. calf slicers, and then you can obviously get the back and go for a rear naked choke or go for that twister that Bryce kept going for. Fucking Thug Nasty, man, he deserves his camo shorts. I mean, just look at the fucking ref decisions here: 30-24, 30-25, 30-25. So that means two judges had two rounds 10-8, and one had it all three 10-8. And I like the one judge that had all rounds 10-8 because there was not a second that Charles had, momentum on her side, or you could say that you can't. I mean, maybe I'm sure you can pick out like a 5 to 10 second clip. Okay, he's winning right here for these 5-10 seconds, but it's like, maybe you say winning because he got out of submission or because he had a nice transition, but then Bryce countered all his transitions to where he always, always, always ended up in a more dominant grappling position. It was just fucking beautiful to watch. If you're into jiu-jitsu or grappling at all, it's just a fucking clinic put on by fucking Thug Nasty. And it's funny the whole time. I guess Charles was talking a lot of shit how he's gonna fucking submit on the ground, and then once they got to the ground, he fucked him up. And come to the third round, I'd say about halfway through the third round, Charles Rosa was talking to Bryce saying, "Hey, stand up. Why are you just laying on me?" Which is just fucking hilarious. And I don't know if Bryce Mitchell said this, but I thought I picked it up myself. The commentators didn't say anything about it, but he was like, "If you want to get up, you got to get up," or something like that, basically saying, "No, I'm not just gonna get up. Like you said, you were gonna fucking out grapple me, so out grapple me and get the fuck up, you bitch." And Charles is a tough ass motherfucker for going through those twister submissions, fucking 7 times, 7 to 10 times. He also almost got choked out via head and arm choke or head and arm triangle choke, but Rosa did a good job of quote unquote answering the phone. Just a good defense, kind of for, I guess, really any triangle choke, but mainly for like the head and arm triangle choke. You just answer the phone and put one arm either, whichever side. I don't know too much. I'm a white belt, obviously, but whatever side is the most pressure, I guess, or whichever arm you could fit in. But he did a good job of putting that hand in there, getting that elbow in there, so the choke wasn't super tight enough to make him pass out, actually black out, or go past that threshold of him actually tapping out. Anyways, great fucking fight. Bryce Mitchell is fucking legit. I can't wait to see who he fights next. I saw someone throw it out there. I think it was Brett Okamoto from ESPN. I probably said his name wrong, but whatever. Um, he he said it'd be pretty cool to see Bryce Mitchell fight Kron Gracie, which Kron last fought Cub Swanson. He got pretty beat up. You know, Swanson used his takedown defense and his jiu-jitsu skills. I believe he's a black belt as well to at least keep it on the feet and just outstrike Kron. And Bryce Mitchell's good on the feet. As we saw, good on the ground. We'll see. I mean, this fight isn't being made, but it'd be pretty dope to see. Um, and I might like Bryce Mitchell in that fight just because his tenacity, man. That Arkansas tough, bro. That Arkansas tough. He's fucking legit. Um, and he might be one of my new favorite fighters, along with Sugar Sean O'Malley. Fucking Bryce Mitchell, him, and I don't know who else, but I didn't even know there was early prelims, but that closed out the early prelims. Now going just straight into the regular prelims. Um, check the chat here, see if anyone's in here. Nope, that's cool. Better. I can just keep going then. Next fight, I guess to kick off the prelims, was between Vicente Luque and Nico Price. Luque last fought Wonder Boy, I believe. What? Oh, full profile from here. Kind of missed. I would say I missed most of this fight because this is when we started getting the Zoom connection going, and kind of conversating with friends and my friend and his wife who don't really, or I know his wife doesn't like fights. She literally said it while we were talking. Um, so I was kind of more engaged in the conversation with them than actually watching this fight and a couple of fights. So I apologize. But yeah, Vicente Luque fought Wonderboy Thompson his last fight. He lost, but before that, he was on a big winning streak versus some legit guys. Luque's got clean, crisp boxing, and he actually TKO'd Nico Price by doctor decision because a big ass swole up cut, and it looked like he probably broke his orbital too. Nico Price, uh, yeah, let's look eye injury. Let's see if I can show this to you guys real quick. Oh my god, see that, man? Like, come on. His eye is completely swollen shut. You see that big ass gash here below and above. The below is not so like doesn't care so much in fights because it doesn't drip into your eye. But once one eye, you could tell physically closes up. There's not much else you can do. As far as a doctor, you kind of have to stop it. Um, Sucks. Nico didn't like the stoppage. I mean, but it is what it is. Luque looked crisp in there, as I said, clean, technical striking. Which I like Nico Price. I've always liked watching him. He's very exciting. He's kind of unorthodox. Uh, in his unorthodoxy, he kind of leaves himself open and vulnerable to strikes coming in. Um, Luque does that a little bit too, but he was a little more defensively sound. Kept his his guard close to his face, and on a good performance. I can't wait for either of these guys to fight again. I always enjoy watching both of them. As far as this fight, Carla Esparza versus Michelle Waterson. Again, this is one of the fights I was talking with my friends and didn't see too much, and I've already seen some controversy in the scoring and then people's opinions online on Twitter and shit talking about this fight. So one judge scored it 30-27 for Carla Esparza. Another judge scored it 30-27 for Michelle Waterson. So how does that happen? How do two individuals score all 3 rounds for one person and then another scores all 3 rounds for the other? I don't know. I'd probably have to watch this fight again, honestly. Even though I won't because it was kind of boring when I was watching it. First round, I didn't see too much happen except Carla got a takedown there at the end. Um, this is kind of the classic grappler versus striker matchup. At least, kind of the classic, striker that likes to keep people on the distance, karate style. Likes to use their length versus a grappling brawler type of fighter in Carla who likes to, when she does strike, she has really good strikes and she's powerful, especially inside and using her hooks. Um, but when she is striking, she has to get inside because she's kind of, for most girls, I'd say she's shorter and less long, but definitely against Michelle Waterson, who's probably one of the taller, lengthier fighters in this division, women's straw weight division, 115. Um, Nonetheless, the third judge ended up scoring at 29-28 for Carla Esparza, so she ended up getting the nod in the decision. As far as the stats go, what I'm looking at here right now, total strikes insignificant or even. Carla had more head strikes. Karate Hottie had more body and leg strikes, so a little more even overall. And then Carla was 1 for 10 on her takedowns. I remember seeing her get that first takedown in the first round. So besides that, I guess the whole time she was shooting takedowns and not getting them. And I guess if Michelle was stuffing them, then she deserves some credit there. I can't go much beyond that because I did not watch this fight close enough. Apologies. As far as I knew, it wasn't very exciting because I was entranced with conversation about non-fighting while people are fighting. So it couldn't have been that exciting of a fight. So I'm not going to watch it again. Sorry, ladies. Might watch it again to watch your booties, but that's it. Next fight, went completely opposite how I think everybody thought it would go between Alexei Olenek and Fabricio Verdum. Fucking Olenek went out there and took it to Verdum on the feet, which is crazy. No one saw that happening. I thought, and everybody thought that Verdum's striking would be better than Olenek's. we all know Verdum's, black belt in jiu-jitsu and has very good top pressure in jiu-jitsu. So we all kind of figured, Olenek giving the mount to somebody or pulling guard and trying to get his 10-finger choke as Ezekiel choke, that would not work, especially versus the thick-necked Verdum. But he didn't really try that at all this fight. Seeing here, he had no takedowns, whereas Verdum had 3 of 7 takedowns. I did miss a little of this fight, but the fight portions that I saw Olenek backing up Verdum against the cage and landing big ass heavy strikes, heavy hooks, heavy bombs. And he took it to fucking Olenek. And dude, great performance by him, man. He's game. He's legit, man. And he's been competing fucking. He's been competing. Verdum, I can't tell you the last time Verdum competed. I can if I look it up right here. But Olenek, I think it probably just came down to Olenek being, the more active fighter. He's just been around. He just fought like a couple months ago or whatever. But yeah, last time Verdum fought was in 2018. And then before that, 2017. So it's been at least 2 years since he last fought. And pretty much everybody but Dominic Cruz believes in ring rust. So I don't know. It was just a good fight by Olenek. Maybe if Verdum had another tune-up fight or something, but everyone thought this was a tune-up fight for Olenek. I had Verdum in a parlay. I thought it was guaranteed he'd win. I had Verdum in the parlay. That lost, so lost the parlay right away. But then I had Cavalcater. He won, and then I think I had Francis in there. So I would have won it if fucking Verdum didn't shit the bed. But it is what it is. It's just money. I don't really care. It's not like I'm making a living off betting. If anything, I'm losing a living off betting. Which isn't really true. I haven't really lost. I guess I had the initial deposit of $100 in my account, and I have yet to put more money in there. But I'm still betting with that $100. I think I only got 50 left, so I'm minus 50. But at one point, I added up to like $300-400. But don't listen to me about betting. That's what I'm trying to say. So this shit is tough. The closeout fight in the prelims was between Anthony Showtime Pettis and Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Again, I didn't watch this fight too much. I'm a little upset, but the parts I did see looked like Pettis was winning. I've heard some opinions on Twitter already, on social media, that Cowboy won that fight. And there already have been some controversial decisions in this on this card. I talked about Esparza and Michelle Waterson, even though I didn't watch the fight and probably could have been more of a draw. Just the fact that one judge scored it 3 rounds for one fighter and another judge scored it 3 rounds for the other fighter. That's controversy right there. Or it just means nothing happened in the fight, which is probably more true. But as far as this fight, all 3 judges had a 29-28 Pettis. As far as looking at the numbers, he had more total strikes, significant strikes about the same, head and body about the same, legs about the same. Pretty much even as far as, I guess, the numbers go. But numbers don't tell shit. You got to see the damage and what's actually happening. Significant strikes. They say significant strikes is everything but a jab, but that's kind of ridiculous too. Justin Gaethje's jab is a lot different than, anyone else's jab. He was fucking stunning Ferguson over and over again with jabs. So, does that count as significant if you jab somebody and you stun him? I don't know. I don't have these answers. But it was the second time these guys fought, and Pettis got the nod again. I'd have to really go back and watch this one again to, I guess, detail it more and pick it apart a little more. But all in all, good fight, good way to close the prelims and the ESPN portion of the card. Get it onto the pay-per-view and the pay-per-view, and it entice people to buy it. Just give me 1 sec here. Turn up the heat in my apartment because it's a little cold. 1 sec. Now I've done that, and I've hooked my charger on my chair. Let's get that unhooked. Boom, there we go. Let's get into the main card. Between Greg Hardy. Well, started off with Greg Hardy fighting Jorgen De Castro. Um, Greg Hardy looked fucking good, man. He looked good. Uh, Most technical and the best product we've seen out of him. He got the nod at all three of the judges' scorecard, 30-27, so won all 3 rounds. De Castro did land some heavy punches in there in the beginning, but after that, he didn't do too much. Greg Hardy just looked good, man, and he loves doing this. You can tell he's enjoying himself, and I don't know him as a person, but it seems like he's found himself and at least is becoming a better person through fighting. I'll see how he does once he faces. He fought Volkov his last fight, and everyone thought it was too much too soon, and it kind of was. He lost all 3 rounds, in my opinion, but still held his own. Didn't get finished versus a top guy. A guy that's won championships in other organizations. A 7-foot guy, tall and lanky, crazy to deal with. So yeah, we definitely we'll definitely gotta look forward to see what he does next. This guy is not, just a joke now. He's not just, just doing everything on pure athleticism and skill and power. He's learning how to fight, and he's got a good corner around him, good gym behind him, good team behind him, good training partners. As long as he can keep it all there mentally, he should continue to get better and maybe become a contender here pretty shortly. Because heavyweight division is kind of thin here. But it's nice there are some new bloods coming in, like Greg Hardy, Jorgen De Castro, a few others, Jazier Rosenstrike that fought later in this card, even though got starched. Yeah, and then Greg Hardy in his post interview said he wanted to get on the Joe Rogan experience with Joe in the octagon, and Joe said let's do it. But I don't know if he'll do it. I feel like he just says that to everybody. But that would be a very interesting interview if he did do it. Try to get the backstory of what happened in domestic abuse stuff, and how he's redeemed himself, and just the story he's been through and the journey he's got to where he is now. I would be interested in watching it, just to see where he is cerebrally and see who he is as a fucking person behind all the fucking, scary tendencies he rubs off onto the world, and the bad things he has done to not only, I guess, women in the past, but also people in the cage. I don't know. I would enjoy that interview. We'll see if it happens or not. I would say not. I'd say he probably had to get a couple more wins in him. And speaking of going on JRE, fucking Calvin Kattar needs to go on there. This next fight between Jeremy Stephens and Calvin Kattar. As I said before, I like Calvin Kattar so much in this fight. I had him in a parlay with a couple other fights. I was that confident he would get the win. And he did. Got the KO Tico with the elbow, round 2, 2 minutes and 49 seconds in. Kattar's legit, man. His fucking technical boxing is fucking crisp. He's got fast hands. It's something to behold. Very, very technical boxing. So sweet. The sweet science. And applied to MMA too. It's not just boxing related. His boxing is he's adapted to where he can throw his kicks in there and also defend kicks and takedowns and all that that you got to do in mixed martial arts. He just looked real good, and Jeremy Stephens is a fucking beast, man. He keeps coming, and he does not stop. So the fact that Kattar finished him was just fucking surreal. Initially, when I first stopped it, I didn't think Stephens was really out of it. He definitely fucking hurt him. He dropped him. He stumbled to his feet. But it seemed like he was still there, and he was intelligently defending himself, I thought. But once the ref stopped it and pulled Kattar off Stephens, you saw it was a good stoppage. Stephens didn't protest at all. He just was like, tried to regather himself for a good couple minutes. I think they even went to commercial break and came back, and he was still on the ground, kind of, trying to process what happened. So I think it was a good stoppage there. I forget who the ref was, but it is what it is. Kattar's legit, man. I liked him in that ZB fight, especially the third round on. I wouldn't mind to see a rematch there, but it has to be 5 rounds. Yeah, I wonder Well, let's see if I can go to these divisional rankings real quick. If my computer loads it fast enough. While I'm doing these streams, my computer gets a little slow. Bear with me. Okay, I said divisional rankings. I didn't ask for an article. The fuck is this shit? Yeah, bro, I didn't ask. I want divisional rankings, not articles about divisional rankings, you cunts. Oh, come on. Okay, they're just gonna keep giving me articles. That's fucking dumb. Why do you have articles in your divisional rankings section? It's the dumbest thing. Put that. Oh, here we go. There's an article about how much people have moved in the rankings. Okay, well, it's gonna take forever. What? That was men's featherweight. They allow me to click on it. I just want to see who potentially Kattar can fight next. Obviously, see, there's Holloway out there. I guess Moraes is moving to 145, if I remember correctly. This doesn't want to load. Why is Ryan Bader in the light heavyweight rankings? He's not in the UFC. Welterweight. Lightweight. One more. Featherweight. Oh yeah, Volkanovski's the champ. Holloway. Ooh, Ortega. Good fight. Pitbull. He's in Bellator is a beat. Yair. Korean Zombie. I like him in all his fights. I could fight Hinoito Mokano. I'd rather him fight someone further up in the rankings. Josh Emmett, Korean Zombie would be a good fight. Yair Rodriguez. I'd like a rematch versus a beat, honestly. Or Ortega or Holloway, man. I think those are all good fights for Kattar. Maybe not all good fights that he'd win, but they'd be all competitive fights for sure. He's in that top tier. He definitely deserves a top 5 guy next, in my opinion. Maybe top 3 potentially. Great fight, great finish by him. Oh my god, I'm talking about great finish. Fucking Francis, man. You could tell Francis was just ready to go, man. He hadn't fought in forever. I think he said he had been training camp at least since January. So he's just been training and training and training, beating himself up for months and months. You know, he's supposed to fight back in March, I believe. He's supposed to fight Jazier. I'm pretty sure the card that like the first card that was canceled, or like UFC stopped shit, and like the next week it was supposed to be Francis and Jazier, Jairzinho. But you could tell he was ready to go. He just came out there throwing bombs. He fucking finished this dude in 20 seconds. It was just fucking brutal. As soon as he literally just started throwing haymakers, like no technique at all. But it doesn't matter. Literally, when the first one landed, boom, collapsed. And he landed a couple more before the referee could pull him off. That's just the adrenaline getting to him. Just fucking crazy performance, man. And he deserves a fucking title shot. If Stipe's not going to fight, he deserves a title shot. And if Stipe's not going to fight, then that means they got to take the belt away. And I guess it would be DC versus Francis. I thought originally DC was like, no, he's not going to fight Francis. He just wanted to fight Stipe. But DC Daniel Cormier was part of the commentating team last night. And he said he's down to fight Francis. He said he's not scared of anybody. You know, he knows. And he told everyone there, he's like, I'm taking him down. As soon as we get in there, I'm taking him down. I have to. I can't stand there and strike with him. Which is smart. And he'll probably get the victory if he does and is able to do that. So I guess that's the fight to make, man. Like, you can't just have Francis sitting around waiting for Stipe, to get healthy or, I've been hearing things around the water cooler, so to say, that Stipe probably might not be ready to fight for a whole nother year. If that's so, then you got to strip him the belt, man, because Francis deserves a shot. He's knocked out everybody. He did not have to fight Jairzinho. Jairzinho is an up-and-coming guy. I don't even know if he was ranked before his last fight. He fought a guy, Justin Tafa, who's not ranked. got up to number 10 or wherever he is now and got the fight versus Francis only because he called Francis out. And nobody's calling out Francis Ngannou for good reasons. And I don't think Jairzinho will be calling him out any longer after he starts him in 20 seconds off one punch. Not trying to diminish Jairzinho. He's very talented, very skilled. Could definitely be a contender here in the near future. Just Francis is another beast, man. He's a fucking comic book hero. It just doesn't make sense. His power and his physique is just fucking monster, man. And he needs to fight for that belt. He needs to. I don't care versus who. Talking about belts here. Co-main event between Henry Cejudo and Dominic the Dominator Cruz and Henry the Messenger Cejudo. Before I get in that, let me see if anyone's hopped in here on the chat, on this Mixer chat. Good. No, nobody. Cool. I can just keep fucking going, son. Cejudo, man. Cejudo's legit. He might be the best over. As far as combat resumes, fighting combat resumes, he might be the greatest ever. He won gold medal wrestling at 21 years old. Unheard of. That doesn't happen. And then he retired from wrestling. He stopped wrestling at 21 years old, which is insane. You're not even close to your physical peak at 21. Your body's still growing. It's not like he jumped into fighting right away. He did fighting a couple years later. I guess he did some motivational speaking between his Olympic career and his fighting career. In his fighting career, he started off, he got up there in the rankings pretty quickly. He fought DJ, Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson. Lost the first time, but then came back 2 years later and beat him. It was a very close fight, but I thought he beat him 3-2. And most judges and I think analysts did. I think most people would have preferred if Mighty Mouse got a rematch just because it was so close, but he ended up going to ONE FC and that little Ben Askren trade, which was kind of weird. And I think we can all agree now that trade was stupid. Maybe not stupid. Maybe not stupid because Ben Askren brought a little fanfare and activity to the sport. Probably a little more pay-per-views here and there. Probably drew a little more eyes than Mighty Mouse, but as far as talent and seeing who's the best in the world, I think it was a waste. I think it was a bad trade. Because Mighty Mouse is clearly one of the best in the world. He went over to ONE FC and won their title, I believe. And then he might have even lost the title, but Ben Askren came over. He beat Robbie Lawler, but then got starched versus Masvidal. He's just amateur striking. My striking is better than Ben Askren. If we had a straight up striking match, I'd probably knock him out. And I've never had a formal day of striking in my life. But that's how shitty his striking looks. Now, I know he would just grab my legs, take me down, and fucking lay on me and, probably finish me. But like I said, if it was just a straight boxing match, striking match, I'd probably fuck him up. And he's not a top 10 guy, in my opinion, as far as mixed martial arts. If you go just straight grappling, if you want to have straight grappling match, have him compete in like Submission Underground, Quintet, EBI, even then, probably not, because he's not a jiu-jitsu guy. He got tapped by Damian Maia pretty easily. So I don't know. It is what it is. But back to Cejudo, after beating Mighty Mouse, Dillashaw came down to 125. He starched Dillashaw in 40 seconds. Dillashaw thought it was a early stoppage. I don't think so. He would have just got his ass beaten even more, and plus he's a cheater anyway, so fuck him. And Cejudo moved up to 35. He was going to fight Dillashaw there, but Dillashaw got caught with EPO, so he was suspended. Marlon Moraes stepped in and fought Cejudo. I saw that fight live. It was crazy. I talked about it in the preview a little bit. And then he now just fought, kind of the consensus greatest 135er of all time, at least the pioneer, first inaugural 35-pound champ for the men's at bantamweight. I kind of took it to him, man. Like from the beginning, the friends I was talking to and had over for fights, we were, we all like Cruz going in there, even though he was the betting underdog. I just like him because his footwork. I didn't think Cejudo would be able to touch him. I thought he would be chasing him all day, um, and that Cruz would outpoint him for 5 rounds, and that just did not happen. Cejudo had the perfect game plan, man, and him and his team is so cerebral. He might be the king of cringe and do all these weird things on social media, but the dude can fucking fight. And him and his team know how to prepare for a fucking fight. Um, the first thing you notice was, he kept his stance. He had a nice, calm stance, and would just start chopping away at Cruz's legs from the beginning, man. And I think that was the beginning of the end. It was literally at the beginning of the fight too. He started just chopping those legs away. And once you take a guy that moves around with Cruz, uses his movement basically to set up everything, his movements even is part of his defense. Once you start chopping those legs down and he's not as spry and mobile, that takes away like 50% of his game. He's not. I thought he Cruz would do better because he wouldn't be there when Cejudo's going to throw. But the way Cejudo was throwing those leg kicks, he was throwing them with bad intentions, trying to break his legs. It's like he was trying to hit both legs. You'd hit the first one and it'd be so powerful, it'd follow through and hit the second one. And there was a couple times there, I think he actually swept Cruz off his feet because he kicked him so hard. Um, Come that second round, he got him. I can't believe he finished him, but there was a crazy headbutt there towards the end of the second round, with like 15 seconds left in the round, 15, 20 seconds. Split Cejudo open pretty good and bleeding everywhere. And then he just fucking finished the fight after that, man. That mental will of this guy is insane. It's just insane after seeing what he did to Moraes after getting fucked up. Whereas Moraes chopped down Cejudo's legs, and then Cejudo was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna charge forward and finish him, and he did. Um, it's kind of what happened here. It's like he felt some adversity, and it wasn't even adversity like he was losing the fight or Dominic was starting to come back. He got headbutted and there's blood all over his face. You'd think, any normal person, especially somebody like me, you start bleeding. I mean, I might like it if I start seeing blood all over my face. Well, I guess you can't see blood on your face, but if you know blood's dripping down your face, that might make me feel like a badass and be like, oh, let's go, bitch. Um, but normally, guys would be like, "Oh fuck, I'm bleeding. Oh, it's in my eyes." Da 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 da. You start going towards that negative mindset, that rabbit hole. But that's why Cejudo's a champion. That's why you get to the UFC. You can't have those mind paths, those mind traps. They just can't exist if you want to be great. And he doesn't have them. He got headbutted, bleeding all over him, and then he came out and just landed a perfect knee as Dominic ducked his head. Fucking Dominic fell on the ground, and Cejudo, as he came in to finish him, he landed a nice right straight right on the jaw. Cruz was getting back up to his feet, and then that strike kind of put him down. He was actually coming back to his feet, facing him, his body, his torso facing him, his face facing him. But once, to maybe end up in his guard. But once Cejudo came in as he was jumping on him with that straight punch, that one rocked him really good and then put him on all fours and gave his back to Cejudo. Cejudo got his back, kind of off to the side and just landed, I think it was about 11 uncontested strikes they counted, during the broadcast, the commentary team. And a lot of times during those scrambles, when you're just trying to finish a guy, a lot of them don't land just because you're going so hectic and out of control. But most of Cejudo's landed. I would say a lot of them landed flush too. Um, the ref, Keith Peterson, did stand in there and stop the fight. In real time, initially, I thought it was a bad stoppage because it looked like Cruz was starting to regather himself and get to his feet. Uh, but hindsight being 2020 and kind of looking at it slow mo, I think it was a good stoppage. I think Cejudo would just kept landing, and even though it looked like Dom was starting to, build up and gather himself, I don't think it would have got any better. He would have just kept, as soon as he would have got up to his feet, Cejudo would have just been like, boom, and probably landed something big, and cause some actual permanent damage. I understand Cruz's frustration in that he's ready to, die in the cage. He wants to be knocked unconscious to be finished. He's been there plenty of times before, so I understand his frustration. He's very upset in his post interviews. Um, but I think when he looks back at the tape, and his team told him, Dana White told him, like, you can't put yourself in that position. And they all were kind of telling him, like, it didn't look good. And I think if once I'm sure he's watched it by now, but once he goes back and looks at the tape, that he'll come to understand why Keith Peterson stopped the fight. One thing I did not like about Cruz's post interview, I don't know if it was no, it wasn't in the octagon, but it was afterwards at the Megan O'Leary on like the post show, or at least they had it on the post show. Um, he personally attacked Keith Peterson, said he smelled like alcohol and cigarettes. But the way Dominic said it was really weird. He was like, his breath smelled like alcohol and cigarettes. He sounded like you fucking like 14-year-old kid, like, ew. You know, your mom smells like cigarettes or whatever. I don't know. It was just very weird. It was just like he was looking for every excuse to just like blame the ref for his loss. Um, and Dominic's not usually a guy to make excuses. He even said that himself. So I'm very interested to see what he has to say when he looks back over the fights and see if he, I guess, has a different mindset about what happened. But I mean, great fucking performance by Cejudo, man. He's legit. And he fucking retired after this fight, which is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it, but I guess supposedly his team, there have been some rumors, some rumblings from his team and people around him that he was thinking about, never fighting again, even before this fight. Um, just because the money, the pain, the weight cutting just wasn't worth it. He said he's been doing this since he was 11 years old, ever since he started wrestling. So he's been cutting weight for 22 years of his life, for the majority of his life. And I'm sure, I believe he had a surgery recently. I forget on what. It might have been shoulder or knee. I know two very different things, but you need both to fight and to live comfortably. Um, so I don't know. The way Rogan was talking about it, I kind of believe him in that. A lot of people go to Rogan, because they trust him, and he has a space where you can go and just freely express yourself and your thoughts for hours. So he thinks it's legit, and it might be. I still think if that Aldo fight is out there, he still might do that because that'd be a nice money fight. That could be a headlining fight of a pay per view potentially, especially the way Cejudo dominated Cruz. And I think Cejudo even just stating his retirement even elevates himself even more. But at the same time, DC brought this up, I think, afterwards. He thinks it's legit too, because he could have used this opportunity. There's literally no other sports going on right now. I couldn't. I mean, there's so many people tweeting the fight. Like fucking Tom Brady was live tweeting it. So many like big celebrities. So I'm sure fucking everybody was watching this. So Cejudo had a perfect platform to call out his next victim, to call out Aldo, or even potentially some people thought he was going to do the quote unquote C4 thing and call out Alexander Volkanovski at 145 and possibly get 3 belts in the UFC, which would be insane. Um, but the fact that he used this opportunity to state his retirement makes a lot of people, think it's legit. And I hope he does whatever he wants to do. If he wants to fight again, I hope he fights, and I hope he does well. If he wants to retire and just live off what he has, start a family, start into business is kind of what he led to. Said he wants to get into real estate. It was kind of interesting. It sounds like he wants to start to build an empire. Outside of sports, and once you Dana White has said it all the time, and Joe Rogan said it. Once you're starting to look for business opportunities and ventures outside of the octagon, it's probably a good time to step away. But the crazy thing is, you just beat the greatest of all time at 135. So does that make him the greatest of all time? He's definitely up there in the conversation of greatest combat sport athletes of all time, just based on his resume. So we'll see what happens next. I still think that if Jose Aldo is out there and wants to fight with Cejudo, that is the fight to make. But but we'll see. Dana already, in the same night that Cejudo fucking announced his retirement, Dana White said that Piotr Jan would fight for the belt, would fight for the vacated 135-pound belt versus an unnamed opponent. Now I hope that unnamed opponent is Aljamain Sterling. It might end up being fucking Jose Aldo again, but we'll see. But from Piotr Jan being from Russia, they'll have to do that on Fight Island or wherever and get this Corona bullshit all figured out. But that remains to be seen. I've got to the last fight here. 50 minutes in, so I don't think I'll be previewing any of these later fights. I'll probably just stop after this one because I'm fucking hungry. I haven't even ate yet today. This coffee's got my metabolism and my brain going, so I need to eat. Yeah, man, the fucking main event was a crazy fucking fight. Fucking Justin Gaethje is legit. He's as legit as they come, and one of the most exciting guys ever to grace the octagon or the cage or combat sports. Nickname's the highlight, bro. And he obviously deserves the shot versus Khabib next. You know, he's now the interim lightweight division champ. You know, they got to unify the belt, so he's got to fight Khabib next. Justin pointed to possibly being ready in August, September. I think that would be good for Khabib. I think that's when he was looking around, was summer around August, since he's going through Ramadan now, so he can't really train to his full capacity. But once that's over, you know, I think August, September will give him enough time frame to get a full camp in and be ready to go. Same thing for Justin. I think that will give him enough time to heal up from this crazy fight. Even though he didn't take too much damage, you know, it's still a fight. You still, you know, look in the stats here, he still got hit 136 times by Tony Ferguson. But what's also strange is, what the fuck? Total strikes and significant strikes, they have the same for both these guys. So who's doing the counting here? Who are the statisticians? Like, what the fuck's going on here? And they say Tony Ferguson landed 36 of his 41 leg kicks, but that's crazy because Gaethje pretty much checked all of them. But I don't know. This was, you know, I did not like this fight for Ferguson when it was initially announced between Gaethje, especially that Ferguson was training against Khabib, one of the, or probably the greatest grappler in the sport today. So he's training a lot of grappling, a lot of striking to, you know, I guess dispose of a grappler like Khabib. And then short notice, he's fighting a guy in Gaethje who was just a fucking highlight reel from the feet. He's got a good wrestling base, takedown defense, but he doesn't use it. He just stands up and strikes and uses his boxing. And we saw from this fight, his boxing is crisp, very technical, very short, no fat in his punches. It was just, I think the biggest difference besides the power between Gaethje and Ferguson was just the technique. You know, Ferguson, you know, has good technique, but that, you know, because he's so unorthodox and so unpredictable, a lot of his techniques come from awkward movement and then being set up, you know, with something else. And, you know, a lot of his shit isn't just straight to A to C. You know, it goes to A to B to C to D, and then he's hitting somebody. Or, you know, he's doing his crazy breakdancing footwork and then Superman punch. You know, he had a couple good strikes like that. But I think Justin just being composed and kind of just being traditional, you know, you get that defensive base, keep your guard high, you know, protect your body, your legs, check the kicks when they come, which he did. And then when Tony gets in range, you know, just fire off that hook, you know, fire off those explosive strikes that he had. And that's what he did, man. And that fucking left hook kept landing over and over again. That was a clear vulnerability in Ferguson's game. That left hook just kept landing over and over again. And I guess that's always kind of been a vulnerability in Tony's game. He's always gotten hit. Every single fight he gets hit. He gets hit. Even though it seems like he's in the Matrix and he's kind of moving in slow motion, avoiding people, he I don't know. You got fucked up, man. It was tough to watch. I'm a big El Kukui fan, big Eddie Bravo fan. I thought Ferguson had what it took to beat Habib. I even had money on him against Habib. I did not have money on him against Gaethje. I just didn't like the line enough, although I would have bet it. Um, yeah, as just a fan of MMA and everyone, how can you not be a fan of Tony Ferguson, especially at how much damage he took, man? There's so many times during this fight, from the beginning of the first round to the end, where I was just like, oh, I was like, ah, and I would just like put my head down and be like, oh my God, how is he still alive? Let alone standing. I want to know how this man's still alive. How is your consciousness? Like, how are you not being separated from consciousness from these strikes, dude? Oh my God, my face was hurting just by watching him take the punishment. Like I could feel the pain in my face. Where I've been hit by a baseball and broke my face, I felt the same pain. Every time Gaethje was landing these strikes, man. God, it was so fucking brutal. I'm so glad Herb Dean stepped in there. Um, he could have stopped it earlier, but that's El Cucuy. You got to go until it looks like he's done. Um, and he was done there at the end. You'll never say Ferguson quit, and he definitely didn't quit. But like, even though that man's will is strong, maybe the strongest, some would say, that's ever been witnessed, especially after that beating. God damn. Um, Towards the end there, I got towards the final, fight sequence or finishing sequence or whatever. Ferguson got hit. I think it was with the jab. I was gonna say just with the jab, but the jab powerful as fuck. Stunning everybody. Hit with the jab like right on the nose or whatever, and you could see Tony. He backed up. His legs were wobbled, and he was shaking his head. Kind of like he was trying to regain consciousness. Like, oh shit, I don't see anything, or probably stunned. Um, and once Herb Dean saw that, he had enough. You could see in Herb Dean's face and Tony's face that that was a good time to call it. And, Tony didn't protest it. His corner didn't. I think initially Tony pushed away Gaethje when Gaethje first tried to compliment him, give him dap. Tony's still all in the moment. The adrenaline's running. You just lost. You realize you just got stopped. Guy beat your ass pretty good. Even with all your unorthodox techniques, there really nothing Tony did to him that entire fight that made Gaethje back up at all. Besides, he did have that uppercut in the second round there that stunned Gaethje and almost finished him. Um, but it just wasn't enough. That was really it that got past Gaethje's defense, or at least made Gaethje respect Ferguson or his power or what have you. It's a crazy fight, and Gaethje's legit, man. And if and not if, but when they make this fight between him and Habib, I got Gaethje. I got Gaethje, man. I know Habib's a crazy grappler, but Gaethje's All-American D1 division wrestler. Supposedly he's got a good wrestling base. We have yet to see in the octagon, but I gotta believe it's there. If he started as a wrestler, it's gotta be there, and I'm sure he still works on it. And if he's gonna fight Habib, he's definitely gotta work on it. But he by far has the striking advantage for Habib. I'm sure Habib's hands have gotten better. Habib's hands got better from just from the I can't remember who he fought first, Ferguson or Poirier or Connor. Um, but he dropped Connor with a fucking overhand, and Connor's one of the best strikers in all of MMA, all of UFC, all of combat sports for that matter. You know, um, Even though he got fucked up versus Floyd, he gave it to Floyd a little bit. He landed a couple strikes versus him, but Habib striking has got better, but it's not going to get better in the time to just stand there and throw bombs with Gaethje. He's going to have to shoot for those takedowns and shoot aggressively. So I look forward to that fight. And like I said, if I have any money left in my betting account by the time this fight is made, I'm probably going to put it all in Gaethje, man. I really think he can do it. I think he could be the one to beat him. And I thought Ferguson was probably the worst matchup for Gaethje or for Habib, and then Gaethje's the next one. And I think Gaethje, now that he fucked up Ferguson, I think he is probably actually the worst, uh, the tougher matchup. And I thought that coming in as well. So I don't know. We'll see. Fucking exciting night of fights. Let's check the mixer chat here, see if anyone's hopped in. They have not. That is good. About 10 seconds over the hour mark. Nice. Let's see here. I guess I could touch base a little on Smith and Teixeira, or at least look over the card. See, I'll go ahead and preview a little bit. Just because I think this card is not too stacked, and now that I'm looking at it, I see a lot of guys I like in here. But these would take place this Wednesday, May 13th, same arena in Jacksonville. Prelims at 5 Central, 6 Eastern, 8 p.m. for the main card, Central, 9 Eastern, all on ESPN Plus. Headliners between Anthony Smith and Glover Teixeira. Should be a good fight, but I like Anthony Smith, just a younger guy. Glover's got good ground. I definitely like Lionheart Smith and his boxing on the feet. And then it comes to the ground, I would like Glover, but having seen Smith compete in quintet matches and submission underground, he can hold himself on the ground. And let's say he's young, but he's like mid 30s, maybe even late 30s. And supposedly Chael Sonnen said the hardest guy he has getting matchups for submission underground, his promotion, is Anthony Smith. Nobody wants to grapple him. And I think it's because probably he's not like a huge name in the grappling community, so like just grappling based guys don't want to face him. Because if you lose to a guy that's just like known as an MMA guy, he's a fighter, he's not a jiu-jitsu guy. He's only 31. Holy shit, he's just been around for a long time. 32 and 14. Over 50 fights or close to 50 fights, 46 fights. Yeah, I mean, so I like him in all aspects of this game because after seeing him in the quintet, I like his grappling game. Glover still might have the advantage, but I think Anthony is skilled enough to at least get out of bad positions, or at least transition, or at least know not to get to those positions and keeping them on the feet, at least defend the takedowns and what have you. Um, so I like him in that fight. He's currently minus 170. Glover's plus 140 as far as betting odds go. See how that goes. Co-mains between Ben Rothwell and Ovince St. Preux. It's a crazy fight. We got Rothwell's unorthodoxy stand-up game and OSP. I guess now at heavyweight now for the foreseeable future. Fighting bigger guys, but he's so athletic and he's strong himself. I do like OSP in this fight, but Rothwell could definitely get it done with one punch or not. Alexander Hernandez versus Drew Dober. That's a good fight. Both young and up-and-comers. Hernandez fought Cowboy way back. Got his ass kicked. That should be a good fight. Oh, I like this fight. Ricky Simone versus Ray Borg. Two young, tough guys. Ricky Simone last fought Uriah. I don't know if he last fought Uriah Faber, but he fought Uriah Faber one fight. Got knocked out by him and actually won. Actually made a decent amount I made like $100 that fight by betting on Faber. He's out of Gracie Baja in Portland. Oh, he lost to Rob Font his last fight too. Rob Font's legit though. That'll be a good fight between Simone and Borg. I don't know who I like, honestly. I like Borg, and just because he's a nice guy and what his kid and family have been going through. We'll see how that goes. We got Carl Robinson, Marvin Vettori, decent fight. Got Arlovsky on the prelims, fighting some up-and-comer with no picture. Michael Johnson's back, fighting Thiago Moises. Sijara Eubanks versus Sarah Moras. Gabriel Benitez versus Omar Morales. Don't really know those guys. You got Brian Keller fighting Hunter Azur. And a couple other guys. So not a huge stack card is obviously this pay-per-view. This will be just a fight night, so it's free on ESPN Plus. Still some decent fights, and it's on a Wednesday during the middle of the week. It was pretty dope. So definitely look forward to that card. And I won't be doing a preview episode just because since I kind of briefly previewed over it now, and I don't feel like doing another episode in the next 2 days. I will try to do a preview episode for the Saturday night card between the headliner there, Overeem and Walt Harris. I was gonna see. I was gonna see if my brother might want to do the preview, but I think he's busy. He's working. So probably not. I might get him in for the review. Come, come Sunday. Oh, thanks for the host, Dejarius, even though I'm about to hop out of here. I already kind of talked about the fights a little bit. What do you think about the fights if you're still here listening to me? Fucking. I actually might have your brother Rob on the regular Kyle High Club podcast. We've been talking a little bit. I might try to get him on either Thursday or Friday. Yeah, can't wait for the ones Wednesday and Saturday. Yeah, me neither. Yeah, the Wednesday card's not as stacked as like the pay-per-view that just happened or the Saturday card, but it's the middle of the week on Wednesday, so it'll be pretty hype having some fights during the middle of the week. Yeah, definitely dope. It's on a Wednesday. Actually, you'll have something to watch during the week besides fucking Netflix or TLC or whatever bullshit you guys are watching. Um, let's see. Yeah, I might get your brother in here, Rob, on the regular Kyle High episode, either Thursday or Friday. We'll have to work that out with him. I may or may not have a preview episode for the fights on Saturday. It just depends what my schedule's looking like. Right now, I'm leaning towards not to if I'm going to have a regular episode with Rob, later in the week. I will try to do a review episode though on Sunday. I'm gonna try to keep doing these review episodes. When I can, I'm gonna try to get my brother in here and kind of talk the fights with me. If not, maybe someone else. Henry, if you're ever watching the fights too, maybe you could join me in here and shoot the shit and talk about them. Maybe Rob. But yeah, or maybe I'll get one of my jiu-jitsu friends. We'll see. But appreciate the host. I'm probably gonna hop in here and play some games after I eat, get some breakfast in me, even though it's fucking 2 p.m. Hell yeah. Yeah, appreciate the host. Appreciate anybody watching. I don't think anybody watched, but if you're watching later, either video on YouTube or on my website, kylehighclub.com. This will be up here, the video and audio versions. Audio versions will be available on iTunes and I believe the Google Play Store, but that's it right now. No Spotify or Pandora. Yeah, appreciate it, dog. Appreciate it, Henry. I'll definitely catch you later. Yeah, I guess that's it. Fuckers. Peace. Love. Catch you on the video game.